Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zamilatul. I am a final year student of the Jakarta State University Economics Education Study Program. Through this video, I want to make a presentation related to the result of my thesis proposal entitled The Influence of Manufactured Product, Exchange Rates, and Inflation Rates on the ASEAN Region Export Period 2017 until 2021. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Saparudin Mukhtar, MSE, and Professor Dr. Sri Indah Nikansari, MSE, as an advisor lecturer who has always assisted in the preparation of this thesis proposal until it was complete and was declared eligible for the seminar. The material that I want to convey in this video includes 3 chapters, namely Chapter 1, which includes background, problem formulation, and research objective, then continues with Chapter 2, which includes discussion related to the theoretical foundation, relevant research, theoretical frameworks, and research hypotheses. The last is Chapter 3, which covers the types of research, types and search of data, definition of variable, and methods of data analysis. First, I will start to explain related to Chapter 1, which is about the background of the research I did. We can deny that globalization has had a great impact on countries around the world. The loss of boundaries between countries has had a positive impact on several countries, namely the ease of access in conducting international trade. International trade is divided into 2 activities, namely export and import activities. With this activity, each country will benefit from the activities carried out by the countries involved, especially in export activities where with this export activity both the exporter and the country goals will benefit and greatly affect the global economy. For exporting countries, the main advantage of carrying out this activity is that I can increase the country foreign exchange and can introduce its production goods to foreign countries. Will the benefits that will be obtained by the destination country are more to meet the needs of the people in a country that can be fulfilled. However, we need to know that international trade activities, especially export, do not just happen, but there are various policies that set by each country with the aim of preventing domination of the domestic market from foreign goods. This policy is realized by setting tariff and non-tariff, although this policy has a good goal. We need to know that this goal is also considered an obstacle for exporting countries. In essence, this obstacle can be minimized by the establishment of a cooperation between countries. One form of cooperative organization that focus on freedom in the implementation of international trade with policy in one of which is the abolition of tariff 0 until 5% and non-tariff barriers. This cooperative organization is called AFTA, ASEAN Free Trade Area. Whereas the name implies, AFTA was formed by ASEAN member countries, Association of Southeast Asia. There are many benefits, one of which is the elimination of tariff and non-tariff, although the ASEAN region has various facilities in the implementation of international trade. It can be denied that there are still some things that interfere with the ongoing international trade activities, especially in the 2017 until 2021 period. This relates to the existence of 2 phenomena, namely the trade war between the United States and China that occurred in 2018, and the occurrence of the COVID-19 pandemic at the beginning of 2020 and result in a decline in export levels for almost all countries in ASEAN. The phenomenon of a pandemic that results in a decline in export activity is certainly related to several factors that can affect export and imports. Export can be influenced by several factors, namely the ability of a country's the product, export good, the taste of resident, exchange rates, people income, transportation costs, foreign direct investment, FDI, inflation, GDP, and the willingness of export goods, manufactured product, Sukirno. 2012, manufacturing products are considered as variables that can affect the volume of export in a country. Technology-based manufacturing industry management will produce output with a high value so as to increase economic growth through exports. Vincentius et al. 2019. In terms of supply in the domestic currency depreciates, the volume of export will increase. So the forex exchange rate has a direct relationship with the volume of export. If the value of a country's exchange rate against the USD decrease, the volume of the export country will also increase. So care now. And then when the inflation rate is high, the price of goods and services produced or offered by a country will increase so that the goods and services become less competitive. This shows that there is a negative relationship between inflation and export. For the formulation of the problem and research objective, where in the study there are three main problems which are formulated as follows. One, how is the influence of manufactured product on export in the ASEAN region for the 2017 until 2021 period? Two, how does the exchange rate affect export in the region ASEAN period 2017 until 2021? Three, what is the effect of inflation on export in the ASEAN region for the 2017 until 2021 period? And the purpose of the research includes the following points: studying theoretically related to the influence of manufacturing product and export in the ASEAN region for the 2017 until 2021 period. Two, studying theoretically related to the effect of the exchange rate on export in the ASEAN region for the 2017 until 2021 period. Three, to examine theoretically the effect of inflation on export in the ASEAN region for the 2017 until 2021 period. Followed by chapter 2, which is related to the theoretical basis, which includes the theory of all variable, export theory, classical theory, absolute advantage theory from Adam Smith, and cooperative advantage theory from J.S. Mill and David Ricardo, and modern theory or proportion theory from Heckscher and theory of Lin. Manufacturing product theory from Calder revealed that the manufacturing industry sector is a growth engine for a region in increasing the growth of other sector and also increasing economic growth. Calder also introduced the concept of dynamic economies of scale, which states that the higher the output growth of the manufacturing sector, the higher the productivity of the sector will also be. Exchange rate theory, purchasing power parity, 3P theory, the relationship of the purchasing power of the currency to the country goods and service, absolute and relative. Absolute, the exchange rate between two currencies, the comparison between the two price level of the two countries. And then relative change in exchange rates over a certain period are proportional to change in the relative price level in the two countries. And last, the inflation theory, quantity theory from Irving Fisher, structuralist theory, and Keynes inflation theory. Based on previous theory on research with the existence of several factors that affect export performance in ASEAN countries, the following hypothesis can be formulated. Manufacturing products have a positive effect on export performance in ASEAN countries. 2. The exchange rate has a positive effect on export performance in ASEAN countries. 3. Inflation has a negative effect on export performance in ASEAN countries. And then, this type of research is quantitative research with data, data type, secondary data, and time series and cross-section. Time series 2017 until 2021, cross-section 10 ASEAN countries. And variable goods export data, variable Y, manufacturing product data X1, exchange rate data X2, and inflation data X3. Data search International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the data analysis method in this study is the multiple linear regression method with panel data model. Model estimation is common effect model, fixed effect model, random effect model, and this determination model, Chow test, Hausman test, Lagrange multiplier effect test, and test assumption, classic multicollinearity test, test heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation test, and normality test. And for test tutorial, I will explain the chapter 4 and chapter 1. Chapter 4 description data, election model regression, test assumption classic, discussion result estimate and interpretation. And chapter 4, the closing, conclusion, implication, and suggestion. And then data description, data in study that use data secondary which in the form of time series for development and change which occur during period time certain. Data secondary in study that is merging from time series data from year 2017 until with 2021 and cross-section data from 6 countries that is in area ASEAN. Data in study that this obtained from World Bank and Economic Trade. Study this use 3 variable independent, that is product manufacture, exchange rate, and inflation whereas variable dependent, that is export in area ASEAN. And then product manufacture is result output from series, the process is conducted by body industry manufacturer, with which use in product manufacture in form version, data that obtained that is in the form of PMI manufacturer with source from trading economic, and table for of one data product manufacturer, and then exchange rate. Exchange rate is price a money something country relatively to a money country other, because exchange rate is covers to a money. So when the balance determined by set over a request from second a money, the data in study is taken from World Bank with unit in form of US dollar. And then inflation. Inflation is increased cost variable each unit and price goods by keep going continuously in period certain, which declared in percent. Inflation which use study this is level index price consumed, which calculate by based on pattern consumption with unit in the form of percent. Inexpress consumer code describe increased price on goods or service, which 3 is on consumer data Let's take from workman. Export is from one component which take effect in income aggregate. Something country and study this amount export which report this amount export goods every year which conducted country in area ASEAN and declared it unit US dollar. And then election model regression panel data. First, uji Cho result from test show that score significant from cross-section and big as 0 of 0, 0, 0, 0, where then this interpret that result from probability the more small from score that is as big as 0 of 5. Hypothesis which form in Cho test is following. H0 model command effects probability under more 0 of 5 and H first model fixed effects core probability under 0 for of 5. Uji Hausman, based on results from this Hausman, show that score significant as big as 0 of 3, 6, 8, and 2. Then we show that score significant the more big from score that is 0 of 5. Hausman test conduct with hypothesis as following. H0 random effect model and then score probability more than 0 of 5 and H first fixed effect model score probability under 0 of 5. Election model regressive panel data and then uji UM Lagrange multiplier effect based on results from test Lagrange multiplier show that score significant burst pattern as big as 0 of 0, 0, 0, 0. Then this show that score significant the more small from score that is 0, 5, 0 of 5. Hypothesis from this LM H0 random effect model score probability under 0 of 5 and H first common effect model score probability more 0 of 5. Model regression panel data, test coefficient regression by individually, test team, test the variable x1 based on result calculation data use program efficient, obtain result that score significant as big as 0 of 0 for h and 6. Then this means that decision h0 reject and h first receive. It means x1 take effect significant to y because score significant more small from 0 of 5 with direction connection positive. 2. Test the variable x2 based on result calculation data use program efficient. Obtain result that score significant as big as 0 of 0, 1, 4, and 1. Then this means that h0 reject and h first receive. It means x2 take effect significant to y because for significant more small from 0 of 5 with direction connection positive. And 3. Test the variable x3 based on result calculation data use program efficient. Obtain result that score significant as big as 0 of 6, 2, and 4 and 0. Think this means that h1 reject and the h0 receive. It means x3 take effect no significant to y because score significant more big from 0 of 5 with direction connection negative. And then election model regression panel data equality y and alpha x1 plus x3 x2 plus x3. Result equality the code x1 is following. A coefficient regression x1 is as big as 0 of 48 means that every engagement x1 as big as 1%, so we'll raise y as much 0 of 1%. 4 to x% with assumption variable other constant. The coefficient regression x2 is as big as 0 of 2 means that every adjustment x2 as big as 1% will rise y as much 0 of 2% with assumption variable other constant. The coefficient regression x3 is as big as means 0 of 2 means that every adjustment x3 as big as 1% will lower y as much 0 of 2% with assumption variable other constant. Model regression panel data. Test coefficient regression by simultaneous test fee. Test hypothesis test F used for C is by one variable free have influence which mean two variable bound. Result processing data. Seen that variable independent x1, x2, and x3 significant F count as big as 0 of 1, 5, 1, 0, 8, 8 with level significant which more small 0 of 0 to 7, 9, and to 6 from 0 of 5 with thereby result analysis in study this show that by together variable independent x1, x2, and x3 take effect to y. And 2 coefficient determination used for measure how much variability model in explain variation variable dependent score coefficient determination multiple in abuse terms some like case with application order that is given r square labels in table on code saying that r square big as 0 of 0 1 and 3 2 6 means bunch variable dependent in the model code explain variable independent as big as 93 of 26%, whereas there is explained by variable other outside the model no research. And then test assumption classic based on result correlation matrix big coefficient correlation between variable independent in model regression more small from 0 of 8 with other words model regression in study not experience multicollinearity. Test normality conduct with destination for C is error term distribute by normal or no. Test normality conduct with C probability Jerquibera if probability Jerquibera more big from 7%. So-called site that error term distribute normal based on result test normality with C score probability Jerquibera as big as 0 of 0 x 9, 6, 3, and 6 on 5%. Called site that error term distribute by normal because probability Jerquibera more from 7%. Test heteroskedasticity and for the easy model regression occur in quality variance from residual one observation to observation other model regression which a good is which homoskedasticity or no occur heteroskedasticity Gozali 2016. Based on results from the heteroskedasticity show score p value variable x1 0 of 0.7 x2 and x2 0 of 1 511 and x3 0 of 0 6 3 and 2 show scores which more big from level alpha 0 of 5, so could conclude that data disnoter is problem heteroskedasticity. Drug table Darwin-Watson so-called is known in accordance with best taking decision if in analysis that shows that Darwin-Watson locate on 0 under G under GL. So that could conclude on location the node 3 is autocorrelation positive. Influence product manufacturer to export. Hypothesis first, with submit in study. This is for test how influence product manufacturer X1 to export Y on table 7 of X. Four of 8 obtain result that score significant as big as 0 of 0 for 86. Then this means that H0 reject and H first receive. It means X2 X1 that is significant to Y because score significant more small from 0 or 5 with direction connection positive. In then this so-called interpret their product manufacturer X1 that effect significant to export Y and could conclude result on hypothesis first, which that product manufacturer that effect to export receive. Based on result estimation which has obtained expanded interest score from product manufacturer to large as big as 1%, so will increase score export as big as 0 of 48% with assumption variable other constant. Think this cause because product manufactured on a number of countries ASEAN, especially Indonesian, Vietnam, Singapore, Thai, Malaysia, and Philippines, assume as wrong one factor booster growth economic country ASEAN, specifically in the field export, trading international, with existence among production manufacturer which increase holding this give impact which not this big for increase export in country. The study this support with theory which be delivered by Calder in his statement disclosed the sector industry manufacturer is making growth for a region in increased growth sector other and also increased growth economic and influence exchange rates to export. Hypothesis second, which submit in study. This is for test how influence exchange rate to export on table 48 obtain result that score significant as big as 0 of 0.1 for 1. Then this means that H0 reject and H4 receive. It means X2 take effect significant. Why? Because score significant more small from 0 of 5 with direction connection positive. It means exchange rate take effect significant to export. So-called conclude result on hypothesis third, which that exchange rate take effect to export receive. Based on results estimation, which has obtained, explain that increase core exchange rate rupiah to dollar as big as 1%, so will increase core export as big as 0 of 2% with assumption variable other constant. When exchange rate a money domestic experience depreciation to a money forex so goods domestic will relative more inexpensive than goods foreign consumed in outside country will more interest on goods domestic which relative more inexpensive, so that will increase performance export country which concurs study this report by theory which put it forward that enhancement score from a money local to dollar will add income which obtained from export, so that score from export they will increase in line with study which conducted by Wardatul 2018, where score swap also have influence, which positive and significant to export on country ASEAN 5. Influence inflation to export. Hypothesis third, which submit in study this is for the how influence inflation to export on table 4 of 8 obtained result that score significant as big as 0 of 6 to 40. Then this means that H1 reject and H0 receive. it means take effect no significant. Why? Because score significant more big from 0 or 5 with direction connection negative. So could conclude result on hypothesis third which that inflation take effect to export this F based on result estimation which has obtained explain that increased percentage inflation as big as 1% so will lower scores exports as big as 0 of 0.14191 with variable order considered constant. Though a number of countries had time experienced during oil inflation, which with level inflation which is at on 10% like Indonesia and Vietnam. However, level inflation country ASEAN relative is at in lower average level inflation ASEAN and keep going getting better after time pandemic COVID-19. By general, if inflation increases, so price goods in the country will experience increase. Rise price goods same it means with down score A money. If inflation increase, so will result in increased price which will accompany with drop cost production which caused by less cost production so that in thing this will reduce amount export costs which keep going continuously go on cost activity productive very no profitable infestation productive will reduce and level activity economy will decrease accession price cost goods country that no cost complete compete in market international so that export will decrease. Chapter 5 in closing. Conclusion study these have destination forecast by empirical influence product manufacture, exchange rate, and level inflation to export in area ASEAN period 2017 and 2021 based on result test analysis which has conducted previously study these products a number of conclusion that is 1. Product manufacturer have influence positive and significant to export in area ASEAN. Think this explain that every interest which experience by product manufacturer as big as 1% so will increase export in area ASEAN with assumption which own that variable other considered constant. 2. Scores web or exchange rate have influence positive and significant to export in area ASEAN. Think this explains that every increase which experienced by exchange rate as big as 1% will increase export in ASEAN with assumption that variable other considered constant. Inflation have influence negative and no significant to export in area ASEAN. Think this explains that every increase which experience by inflation as big as 1% will lower export in area ASEAN with assumption which on the variable other gap constant. And then suggestion based on study which has conducted by research. So researcher have a number of suggestions following. 1. Government from every country in area ASEAN should guard stability, availability, product manufacture, and manage quality production from product manufacture that every country in area ASEAN could increase amount export. 2. Government from every country in area ASEAN should guard stability from exchange rate that so that every country in area ASEAN could increase amount exports. Then this could take by government with one statement that is with secret police relate stability, exchange rate, a money domestic to use good stability economy. So from volatility scores exchange rate which excessive because will reach to preserve exchange rate inflation and uncertainty foreign exchange which obtained from activity trading outside country. 3. Wrong one policy related with system score swap which applied on counting other like Europe that is Europe currency unit called made as wrong one reference statement that good with procurement and money regional in area ASEAN or ASEAN. Current unit with U system exchange rate together. HU U system scores swap parallel currents. HU form to use word stability with limit fluctuations exchange rate between country member. And thank you, self love. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, money that is proportional presentation that I can convey. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.